publicize this stuff, that's going to create real problems.
Okay.
You can't do it. That's what I'm telling you. You cannot do it. I will have to move to withdraw from the case.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
So make sure everybody's aware of that. Okay.
We are live.
If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those
We are live.
Okay. Make sure.
Okay. If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case.
Okay.
If you...
This is not another Boron podcast. Mustafa through the police body cam. Judge Carol Weimer, you are under the microscope. Major evidence is coming out of the Mustafa Al-Jazari case, where the prosecutor is terrified and is filing multiple motions. We're going to go over those motions that the prosecutor is filing, and we're going to talk about what the prosecutor is saying. Mustafa's defense attorney is attempting to file a bond for Mustafa. Now, when we go over the prosecutor motion, and you're going to hear what the prosecutor is saying in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. You're going to hear what the defense attorney is saying in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. You're going to ask the question, is the presiding judge, Judge Carol Weimer, impartial? The reason I say that, and you're going to come to your own conclusion, when major evidence show that this is a vehicle accident, that Mustafa's foot was on the brake the whole entire time, trying to stop the vehicle. That Mustafa did everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident. The prosecutor for 3 years has been telling us that Mustafa intentionally crashed his vehicle. Well, major evidence that the prosecution has been hiding for over 3 years show that this is a car accident. Exculpatory evidence that the prosecutor is hiding from the defense that show this is a car accident. The children that Mustafa was a father figure in their life, a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 14-year-old, evidence showed that they've been weaponized by the police department against Mustafa. Google Nest videos that show it's a beautiful relationship. Forensic interview that showed the children have been weaponized by the police against Mustafa. It was a beautiful relationship before the police got involved. Mustafa's vehicle has been crushed and staged by the police department. The police department, the police mechanic inspected Mustafa's vehicle and found brake failure. The dash camera in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case, the dash camera in Mustafa's vehicle has been cut and muted by the officer on the scene, Chad Mason. The main investigator, Robert Drum, falsified Mustafa's statements. Now, major evidence that showed this is a car accident and police falsified a whole entire case. But we're not litigating the Mustafa Al-Jazari case yet. What Mustafa's defense attorney is doing is attempting to file a bond. Now, Mustafa's bond was denied. The presiding judge, Judge Carol Weimer, denied Mustafa bond for 2 reasons. There was a lip reader that since that lip reader has been kicked off the case. And we're going to get into it. The second thing is that allegedly, according to the prosecutor, Mustafa threatened a correctional officer inside the jail. Evidence is coming out of this case that Mustafa never threatened a correctional officer. This is exculpatory evidence that's been hidden by the prosecutor. So, when the presiding judge hears about major evidence that show, 1, this is a car accident, that the prosecutor has been falsifying, is using officer that falsified the whole entire case. That the reason that he denied bond, evidence show that the prosecutor lied. Wouldn't you think the presiding judge would grant a hearing to reconsider the bond? What would you say about a judge that doesn't want to hear the evidence and instead denies the hearing itself, I would say that's an impartial judge. That's a judge that's not impartial in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. We're going to read what the prosecutor is talking about. We're going to go through her motion, and she has two motions. One, to deny the reconsideration of a bond, and the prosecutor is turning around and is attacking this podcast. Is personally attacking me. And we're going to go through that hearing, and we're going to show how the prosecutor is no longer objective. Not only is she falsifying this case, she's terrified that this podcast is exposing what she's doing. If you've been tracking the Mustafa Al-Jazari case, I got my hand on a certain file that show that this prosecutor is using police officers that falsified the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. The prosecutor is terrified. Prosecutor Sarah Sammy and Prosecutor Stephanie Buck are terrified. And you're going to see that in the motion they wrote and put on the record. We're going to go through it, and we're going to go through the body cams and the document that show why this prosecutor is terrified. And when we're going to ask the question, is Judge Carol Weimer impartial? And what do you do when a judge is impartial? You appeal it. You go over the judge. The one thing that the prosecutor and the judge are terrified from.
Morning, Chief.
Morning. Just grabbing a little H2O before the next briefing. You know, a lot of good conversations start right here at this cooler. Keeps the department running and hydrated. Now,
Chief, we have a problem.
what's going on?
The Mustafa brothers. One of them got into evidence storage, took the Redfield file.
You're sure?
Caught him on the cameras 10 minutes ago. Damn it. Detective Forrester's been trying to track him since.
He knew exactly what he wanted. Folder was gone when I came back from the
All
lab.
right, lock down the exits.
We've lost another body cam node. Pull up the feed.
Found him. It's Mustafa, brother. He has the cam.
Lock down the servers. Now!
He's already inside.
Turn. This is for you, Agent Doyle. Full clip. Don't let them bury it.
Garcia, it's Reed. I need a location on Mustafa, brother, now.
They brought him on a ride-share trace, heading south on East Street, plate ending 068.
Sending coordinates now.
Copy that. Keep the feet up.
I'm moving. Garcia, it's Reed. I need a location on Mustafa, brother, now.
The broadcast
The thing that scares him is
Right
based
here
on a
just
true
dropped him
story.
downtown. He's heading for a studio called FM Wave. Copy that. Put eyes on the block and lock it down. Whatever you do, don't let him air that file on his podcast. Units are en route.
Podcast. Whatever you do, make sure he doesn't get on his podcast. Well, I am here. This is not another boring podcast. Mustafa through the police body cam. Judge Carol Weimer, you are under the microscope. I have a file that they've been hiding from the Mustafa Al-Jazari case, hiding from the community. I have that file. I have the body cams. I have the document that we can sit here. And when the prosecutor files a motion and she lies throughout the whole entire, I have the body cam where I can tell you, you don't have to sit here and take my word for it. I can show you the body cam, the prosecutor Sarah Sammy and prosecutor Stephanie Buck is lying to you. Now, we're going to read two motions. The first motion is the prosecutor is filing a motion where she wants the judge to deny the bond reconsideration. And the second motion is the motion to sequester the jury. And in her motion to sequester the jury, she's attacking me for doing what exactly? Giving you evidence that this case is falsified. I don't see her attacking Julie Carey with NBC4. I mean, Julie Carey is talking about the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. I'm talking about the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. Why is the prosecutor attacking me personally? I mean, when you read what she's talking about in her motion, you're going to be disturbed because I have evidence that this prosecutor is lying to you. Before we go on and continue this podcast, I want to thank our co-host, Unredacted Files. Thank you for being here. Unredacted Files podcast. He has his own podcast now, and it's a beautiful podcast. I think your podcast is catching up where I think one podcast is how many views do you have on your podcast? I think you did 2 podcasts so far. It's a new podcast, and you did 2 podcasts. One of them is at 4,000 something view. Well, we can pull it up. I think I can pull it up here. Just so.
Let me see. My analytics.
Let me see if I can pull it up.
Analysis tells you.
Unredacted files.
I've got 18,000 views.
18,000 views
in the last 2 days.
Okay, that's crazy. You have. So this is a new
But I do have
channel.
I have 2 videos.
So you did. This is so unredacted files podcast. Your first video. So this is the first video. 8,527 views on your first podcast. That's crazy. And your
pretty good for a brand new channel.
Really good for a brand new channel. This is crazy for a brand new channel. And then your second podcast is 5,442 views. So whatever you're doing, keep doing it. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
For a brand new channel. You have, I mean, you know, you didn't just start the channel. You didn't just open the door. You kicked down the door. I mean, your first podcast, I think you had evidence.com, the police department log, where it shows Officer Chad Mason and what he did to Mustafa's dash camera. We're talking about a dash camera that's cut and muted by the police department, and you're in possession of the police department log, where it shows that officer and what he was doing the night when he was cutting and muting Mustafa's dash camera.
It's crazy. He admitted to it. On October 31st, he admitted to violating department policy just because he felt like he can do it.
That's crazy.
The judge agreed that day that he violated department policy. He took Mustafa's dash cam, violated chain of custody. I mean, that's what the whole case is centered on, this dash camera, that the police's own digital forensics is telling them it has audio.
But for 2 years.
For 3 years now.
For 3 years now, the prosecutor and the Commonwealth attorney has been telling this community on the record that this dash camera does not have audio and it's cut before impact. But then turn around.
That make any sense? A dash cam that, according to digital forensics, she plugged in a power cord to it, and it still works. It still works because she says she can tell what time it is on the camera. The screen is not broken. The dash cam is not damaged. It was still on the windshield. But the only thing that happened between the accident and when the dash cam was in the police custody is one person took it, and they took it in violation of the police department policy. It wasn't his job to do it, but yet he took it anyways. Chad Mason took that dash camera, and it wasn't his job to do it. He took it and plugged it into his computer. Even Kathy Zymus of Digital Forensics would agree. I just read the transcript.
I mean, I find it disturbing.
She agrees that it wasn't his job to plug it into the computer. Why did he plug that card into the computer? And what was he doing for 4 hours? I mean, we know now, after having the logs of evidence.com, we know that he was sitting on that camera for 4 hours. But in testimony, he made it look like he just took the card, plugged it in real quick, saw that there was files, took it out, and sent it to forensics. That's not true. He was sitting on that camera for 4 hours. And the real question is, what was he doing for 4 hours? And why is the dash cam today allegedly has no audio?
So you have a officer that took Mustafa's dash camera without a warrant and essentially broke the chain of custody, had this dash camera for the files for 2 days.
It wasn't his job.
And today you're finding out, I find it disturbing that he admitted to breaking the chain of custody in court. I mean, he told that to Judge Carol Weimer. I mean, when we talk about, the issue that we have here, is Judge Carol Weimer impartial in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case?
The answer is no.
The answer is no. I mean,
every step of the way, every decision this judge has taken, you look at this judge, and you can tell he's scared. He's scared from the Commonwealth attorney. He granted bond. He takes it back. He's he's listening to testimony from the officer in a motion to dismiss that this officer violated the most important piece of evidence. He violated it flat out. Kathy Zymas took this in, and she also said, Chad Mason, yeah, he violated department policy. The judge knows that. And then the judge still rules against the evidence.
The question is, what do they have on Judge Carol Weimer that he's so terrified and
Look,
he's not impartial in the Mustafa al-Jazari? What do they have on this judge? That's a really good question.
A discussion for a different day. When a lawyer says that, I'm not going to say who, but a judge is a frequent at the strip club where William Bain Jr. used to own that club, and not until recently where he sold it. But a judge used to frequent that club. What is the connection between a judge that frequents that club, always goes to that club, with the strippers? What is the connection here? Okay, what is the connection here? We still don't know. Okay, but a very known attorney has insinuated that a judge of Prince William County used to go to that club. He has a connection to that strip club. And, we'll find out what it is. It'll come out.
Here is the problem.
But that's a conversation for a different day.
Here is the problem. Every single person that is coming into the Mustafa al-Jazari case that essentially are the police department and the prosecution office is pretending that they're witnesses. Today, we have a file that we have the body cam that every single person that's coming into this case is not a witness. And they tell you on body cam, we didn't see anything. They're making allegation, but they're flat out telling you, we did not see anything. Now, the police department, the prosecution office, no, they're not witnesses, but they've been treating them for 3 years as if they're witnesses.
And not only as if they're witnesses, but they're treating them as if they're independent witnesses. Okay, and that's a key point here. When you look at every person that's an alleged witness in this case, that is alleging Mustafa was this horrible, bad person, they're all linked to one thing, and that is the Crystal City Club in Arlington.
That's exactly what exactly.
They're all connected to that club. Who's the owner of that club? William Bain Jr.,
Now,
who had a problem with Mustafa. Clearly on video, you see a problem with him.
The question here.
And he pays the Prince William County Board of Supervisors, who in turn control the police department. So, you ask the question, all these officers are all of a sudden in one case violating department policy, and the Board of Supervisors is not doing anything about it. The local delegates just refuse to touch the issue. And I remember a delegate out of Virginia Beach told me one thing. She said, follow the money. Okay. And it was her that sent me the Board of Supervisors and the donations they were getting from that strip club. And then you begin to piece, or you connect the dots, and you find out that these individuals that the police want to tell us that they're independent witnesses, they're really not so independent when they're all linked back to this Crystal City nightclub.
I think the longer the longer the county drag out this case, more details are coming out. Where we're gonna find out what they're doing in the Mustafa al-Jazari case. Does the county, does the prosecution office, does the police officer involved in this case, does the individual involved in this case have something on the judge? I mean, potentially, you're talking about a judge that frequents Crystal City strip club. Do they have anything on this judge? Is there a stripper that judge is terrified?
I mean, there's definitely something.
Something is going on.
Something's
Specifically,
going
on. When you open a police body cam and one of the officers that crushed and staged Mustafa's vehicle, Investigator Davis, is seen on body cam telling another officer, I have an idea to employ into this case, but it's going to require spending money.
So police openly talking about pumping money into a criminal case. They're pumping money into this case. Where did that money go? Who are they paying? Are they paying off strippers? Are they paying off the judge? Are they paying off prosecutors?
Now,
but I mean, the key fact here is that an officer on body cam said that. He said that he wants to pump money into this case. And now when you steal the file, after they sealed it, you open up this file and it's a giant can of worms. I mean, every step of the way, every officer you look at in this case has violated policy. They did not follow procedure. They did not follow the standard protocol for an investigation. It's really not an investigation. It's a joke. It's really a joke. I mean, I was just reading the motion to dismiss.
Now, before we go into that motion,
and
let's watch.
Joke.
It's absolutely laughable. And I can't wait to go over that motion and read it. I want to go over that body cam. I mean, it's a disturbing body cam. That's a giant claim, by the way. When you say officers that are involved in this case are talking about pumping money out of their pocket into the Mustafa Al-Jazari case, that today we have evidence that is completely falsified. Let's watch that body cam.
Then I'll be done. Hey, Rob, remind me to tell you I had an idea about this case that I thought we should imply. Imply, is that the word? Employ. It would take spending money, though. Take what? Spending money.
For his officer to say they're going to pump money into a case, and then you find out the case, they crushed his car, they tampered with his dash camera, they've manipulated witnesses, they falsified witness testimony, and just to hold this man in jail, and then they beat him inside the jail? I mean, in what world does Chief Newsham think that's okay? Okay, I just saw a report from Florida. A sheriff in Florida was pulled over in a golf cart. I think it was all over the news.
That's right. I saw the report.
And the sheriff simply gave her business card to the officer that pulled her over, and she resigned because she said that it does not represent what these men and women do when they put their life on the line to serve their community. That her action is a disgrace. So what is she going to do? She's going to resign from her position as sheriff, simply because the insinuation that she's using her power to get out of a ticket, a basic ticket, and to protect the reputation of that department, she resigned. And here we have an officer they just crushed his car. They just chopped up his car. They found brake failure. And this officer is saying he wants to employ an idea that they have to spend money. And we find all this BS, this falsification going on. And Chief Newsham thinks it's okay. Amy Ashworth thinks this is nothing. This is just minor.
I mean, when you look at a vehicle on the scene after the accident.
I mean, goddamn, look at that car.
Went from this is the vehicle after the accident, after Mustafa and his family were already extracted out of the vehicle. This is after the accident, after Mustafa and his family are out of the vehicle. You can clearly see no one is inside the vehicle. This is after the accident. Went from that to what the fuck are we talking about?
I mean, this is crazy.
How did the vehicle go from that to this? Now, that's a major problem when you're talking about the police department crushing and staging your vehicle. Now, it's a bigger problem when you're talking about officers that openly are talking about pumping money into your case. Now, to put all this to bed, what you do, by law, Mustafa is entitled to, there's a case, Brady versus Maryland, where once you see that there is evidence that show either the case is falsified or there is bias by the police officer, you have to have the prosecution release their communication.
Exactly.
Now, the previous attorney attempted to do that.
And he was threatened off the case.
The Judge Carol Weimer, in court, the prosecutor was terrified to release, and she told the judge, it's dangerous to release my communication, Your Honor, to the defense. Now, Judge Weimer denied the release of the communication. Now, we go back to the presiding judge. Is this judge impartial when he's denying and blocking what the defense is entitled to under Brady versus Maryland? When you have this much falsification, when you have a falsified case, this much bias, you're talking about a whole entire case that's falsified.
Look, Blake.
Mustafa is entitled, the defense is entitled to the communication, and the judge blocked it. And the question is why? Is this judge impartial?
Look, Blake Weiner was a former federal prosecutor. When he received the discovery for this case, he called me and he said, I cannot believe the level of misconduct by police in this case. And I can't believe this case is still going to trial. It's just unbelievable. And he says, as a former federal prosecutor, I can't believe that this is happening. This case is actually going to trial. It's unbelievable. There's so much misconduct in this case that it's laughable. Okay, and then you go back to Judge Weimer. Is he impartial in this case? And the answer really is no. You can read it from the transcript. Because he's practiced law from the bench. He has inserted himself into this case so deep that you have to look at this case and say, why is this Judge Carol Weimer so invested into this case? You know, I was reading the Prince William County rules on how judges are assigned criminal cases, and it's supposed to be a random process. It's supposed to be a random process so that you can ensure that not the same judge gets the same case, that the case is casually rotated between judges. But in this case, you have Judge Weimer, who basically sat on top of this case and said, I will be the deciding factor in every motion in this case, that lawyers are not allowed to file whatever motion they want unless they go through me first. He even admitted recently in a court hearing that he was at a doctor's office and he received a text message that included a letter from Mustafa to the courts. Imagine, the defendant writes a letter to the courts, and the judge, while sitting at a doctor's office, gets a text message of the defendant's letter. Why are you so invested into this case? Why are you so incorporated into this case? That just seems abnormal.
I mean, that's a real good question.
It's abnormal.
That's a real good question.
And the same judge was used to prosecute one of Mustafa's attorneys, and he barred her from practicing law in Prince William for an entire year, and they deemed her crazy.
Now,
that's Elaine Jarvis.
I find it interesting that Judge Carol Weimer presided over the Elaine Jarvis prosecution, and then Prosecutor Sarah Sammy in this motion that we're going to go over.
And Prosecutor Sammy is prosecuted it.
Is blaming Mustafa for Jarvis leaving the case. You maliciously prosecuted Elaine Jarvis, Mustafa's attorney. You took away her license, and you essentially deemed her crazy. I mean, and Judge Weimer is the one that presided over it. And you want to turn around and blame Mustafa for
his
Jarvis
running away.
We're going to go over, we have a couple of videos.
I mean, Elaine Jarvis ran away because Prince William County prosecuted her hard.
Look,
Judge Weimer, Sarah Sammy specifically went after Jarvis.
What is the one thing that Jarvis did that got the county so upset?
She dismantled the prosecutor's witnesses. She dismantled them. She went into detail on Glenn Ford and his his criminal behavior, the fact that he sexually molested one of Dorothy's daughters. He admitted to it.
She went on a podcast. She has a private investigator on her podcast that flat out on the podcast say the prosecution is using an individual that, one, lied in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case, two, had a inappropriate sexual relationship with another witness that the prosecutor is using, who is not a minor.
He was drugging her.
He was sleeping with the minor
and
drugging the minor.
According to him, by the way.
By the way, this is based on a recording from a private investigator that got on a podcast of the previous attorney, Jarvis. And I mean, this lady, this lawyer was exposing what the county is doing. And we're going to go into those videos. And two, she released a CCTV video from jail that showed that Mustafa was beaten and abused by a correctional officer inside the jail. I mean,
she filed his federal lawsuit, 1983.
So we're going to go over these videos. I want to go back to what you were talking about. By the way,
I just want to mention with Elaine Jarvis, Judge Weimer in the transcript says he specifically wants to make an example out of Elaine Jarvis. And then
he's
Judge
presiding over.
And then Judge
Mustafa's
Weimer
case.
asked the question, why are there so many lawyers in this case? Gee, I wonder why. Maybe because you're prosecuting his lawyers for speaking out against all these violations of policy, all this witness tampering, all this evidence tampering. I mean, the whole case is built on a falsified narrative.
Jarvis turns around and she says she's being threatened by the police. There's a video of her coming out with a statement. Blake Weiner says he's threatened by the county. Brad Haywood, Mustafa's defense attorney.
Do you want me to end up like your brother?
Exactly.
I don't have a family like you, so nobody's going to stand here and advocate for me. I'm going to sit in solitary confinement. It's that easy for them to just throw me in jail. That's a lawyer.
We have a recording of Brad Haywood, Mustafa's last attorney, the previous attorney, where Brad Haywood says, I'm being threatened off the case.
And you have to think about Brad Haywood and when he was threatened. If you look at the court transcripts, Judge Weimer said he had his staff call around attorneys.
He said, I didn't call Brad Haywood.
His staff
He said,
called.
my staff called.
His the Judge Chambers office.
At the time, Brad Haywood didn't enter into the record, so no one knows about Brad Haywood being Mustafa's lawyer.
But
the only person,
Judge Weimer did.
Judge Weimer and his staff.
And Brad Haywood said he was threatened before he took Mustafa's case. So what does that mean? Whoever is threatening these lawyers, it's coming from within the courthouse. That's the only determination you can make.
I want to go over exactly. I want to go over this document, going back to Judge Carol Weimer, being impartial in why is he stuck on Mustafa's case. You posted this document that read randomness standard. Virginia courts include Prince William follows random assignment to promote impartiality and deter judge shopping, aligning with judicial conference policies for federal courts. No local rule indicate non-random assignment in the standard practice per court guidelines effective June 2023. And this is 1.05, assignment of new cases. New civil cases are randomly assigned to judge when they are filed, subject to availability. The assigned judge hears all motion in the case, enters and agreed orders in the case, and may ultimately be the trial judge if the case continues through to trial. If the assigned judge has heard significant motion in the case or has otherwise been particularly involved in pre-trial proceeding, every effort is made to assign that judge for trial. The question that we're asking... Okay, you want me to read this to you?
I think we
covered it. Okay.
Yeah.
The question is, why is Judge Carol Weimer so stuck? Why is Judge Carol Weimer so stuck on the Mustafa al-Jazari case? No other judge.
It's obvious he lets the prosecutor lie, and he doesn't verify what she's putting through. He just grants her motions, no questions asked, no evidence presented, absolutely nothing. Mustafa's bond was denied in 2024.
Based on proffers.
Based on no evidence.
No evidence.
And then the judge today, and by the way, including the reconsideration that was filed in July, the judge refuses to listen to the evidence. He's not even entertaining a motion. He's not even allowing a motion to go through.
You're talking about the bond reconsideration.
Bond reconsideration.
Mustafa's lawyer filed.
He's not allowing a motion to go through, which means he's not even allowing the defense to put up their argument. He's simply not listening to it.
I find it disturbing when the defense is telling Judge Carol Weimer, I have evidence that showed this is a car accident. Mustafa did everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident. The children are weaponized by the police. The vehicle is crushed and staged by the police. The dash camera is cut and muted by the police. Mustafa, which is a solitary confined inmate for going over 3 years now, CCTV video that the defense attorney personally saw, is being beaten and abused by correctional officer. The judge turns around and he doesn't even grant that defense attorney a motion to hear the evidence.
And he's been denied.
You don't find that disturbing?
He's been denied a speedy trial. Every step of the way, we find out that the prosecutor is obstructing the defense attorneys from accessing the evidence. I mean, there's a transcript, I think I sent it to you, where the prosecutor says, we allowed the defense and their experts to examine both vehicles. And then we look at the body cam, and Robert Drum specifically tells Casey Stephen and Stephen Keen, the expert, he tells them, per my conversation with Sarah Sammy, the prosecutor, you're not allowed to touch those vehicles. After they crushed it, by the way. You're not allowed to touch those vehicles. And the guy is like, I mean, how am I supposed to do a reconstruction? How am I supposed to do an examination if I'm not allowed to touch Mustafa's vehicle and they wouldn't even allow him to see the other car? He's not even allowed to look at it.
Now, mind you, the prosecutor...
That's on body cam.
Mind you, I mean, this is a really disturbing body cam because it goes to the foundation of what we're talking about today.
Why is this case continuously delayed? Why?
Why is Mustafa... I mean, Mustafa is scheduled for trial in March. Why is his trial being pushed
again?
And why is Mustafa
sitting
in solitary?
By the way, till this day, February of 2026, Mustafa's car has not been inspected. The other vehicle in this case that T-boned Mustafa's car has not been inspected. And the judge in September of last year, 2025, said in a motion for the defense, this needs to be done by the end of September. Until this day, we're in February of 2026. No inspection of the vehicles, no inspection of the dash camera.
I mean, why? The problem here is the prosecutor will tell you in her motion that it's Mustafa's fault why he sat in jail for over 3 years now, going on 4 years, that his trial is being delayed, when in fact, when you look at the file that I stole from the county, you find out body cams that the prosecutor is blocking the evidence from entering this case. What am I talking about? Mustafa's vehicle was supposed to be inspected by an independent expert.
In July of 2023, by the way.
There's a judge order. There's a judge order to get Mustafa's vehicle inspected. Who's blocking that inspection? On body cam, the prosecutor is blocking a judge order. That Judge Weimer, that Mustafa's defense filed for another judge order, and the judge granted another order just for Mustafa's vehicle to be inspected.
Still hasn't been done.
It still hasn't been done. I mean, and the question is, when you find out that the prosecutor is blocking the inspection of Mustafa's vehicle, I mean, who's blocking? Who's being an obstructionist here? I mean, the prosecutor telling Mustafa is obstructing and is delaying the
from
trial.
Solitary confinement?
From solitary confinement. When the prosecutor is, I mean, this is just one piece of evidence that the prosecutor is blocking from going into this case. Who's delaying the trial?
If the prosecutor is so confident in her case, why are you depriving the defendant from examining the evidence?
She's terrified. I mean, this is a car accident. The minute that you examine the vehicle, you're going to show that, one, this is a car accident. Two, the police staged the vehicle.
And by the way, none of his attorneys have yet to be allowed to inspect the data from the cell phone. I mean, I'm reading what Stephanie Buck said on October 31st. She's saying that there's evidence of abuse, that Glenn Ford was a witness to it. Tanisha Coleman was told by Dorothy that he had done this, he had urinated on her. Okay, if you're alleging all this abuse, why are you hiding the cell phone data dump? All those text messages should be on Dorothy's phone.
I mean,
all those text messages should be on Glenn Ford's phone. But yet the government has not initiated or presented any evidence from the cell phone data dump. And we know what the reason is. And it's because everything they've alleged in Mustafa's case has been a lie. And the phone data dump is going to prove that this was a wonderful relationship between the two. And that there was no abuse. There was no communication with Tanisha Coleman, that Glenn Ford is not the secret lover that Stephanie Buck wants to claim. They want to claim that Glenn Ford was in the shadows, he was being called Bob or something, and that there was a relationship from like far away. They were looking at each other from the window. They were communicating under different names. Okay, if that's the case, show us the cell phone data dump. Why are you depriving the attorneys from the cell phone data dump, from the text messages?
And the question is,
what are they scared of?
And the question is, who's blocking the evidence? Who's delaying the trial? Is Mustafa, the guy that's in solitary confinement, delaying his trial? When Mustafa stands in court, he's telling Judge Weimer, Your Honor, they're not releasing exculpatory evidence into my case. And we're going to read.
I mean, not only that, he's saying they haven't showed me any evidence.
They haven't showed me any evidence. They're not letting my defense inspect the vehicle. They're not letting my defense inspect the dash camera. They're not letting my defense. There's missing body cams, exculpatory evidence. My dash camera is missing.
Look, whose idea was it to push the trial further? Whose idea was it recently? Before the judge could address it, before this new attorney could address it, Sarah Sammy stood up in court and said, Your Honor, I don't think this attorney is ready for a trial. And she's offering to the court that we should push this trial further. And then in the next statement says, the defendant is obstructing. He's the reason why this case hasn't gone to trial. When you just told the judge you want to push the trial,
I mean, I think
told him.
I think it's comical that the prosecutor is blaming Mustafa for his trial being delayed when on body cam, she's blocking the inspection of the vehicle. And she stands in court and tells Judge Weimer, Your Honor, we allowed the inspection of the vehicle.
That was a lie.
No, that's a lie, because on body cam, you're blocking it. And I find it disturbing that the defense attorney, Brad Haywood, in a Brady motion, told Judge Weimer that the prosecutor blocked the inspection of the vehicle. That Brad Haywood, the defense attorney, has evidence that the prosecutor is lying to him. I mean, you want to talk about a judge that's impartial in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case when he doesn't question why you blocked the inspection of the vehicle? Why am I issuing another order to inspect the vehicle? Why has the vehicle going on 4 years has not been inspected yet? I mean, the reality of the Mustafa Al-Jazari case is the judge has not been impartial and is allowing the prosecutor to delay this trial.
I mean, they want Mustafa to go to trial so bad, but they're obstructing the case every step of the way. I mean, it wasn't until recently that the body cam of Andrew Margiotta was released to Brad Haywood. By the way, Brad Haywood is what, like the eighth lawyer on this case? So it took 8 lawyers for the prosecutor to release Andrew Margiotta's body cam, the DC police officer that arrived on the scene. Why did it take 8 lawyers? You want to tell me that had Mustafa not had 7 lawyers prior, he would have never gotten this body cam?
I mean, take a look at this. This is what Prosecutor Sarah Sammy is saying in courts. Prosecutor Sarah Sammy is telling the Judge Carol Weimer, my understanding, so in the lower court, when Mr. Stevens was counsel of record for Mr. Al-Jazari, I set up a time with the police department to allow Mr. Stevens, an expert that had been hired by him, to come and inspect each of the vehicle at the impound lot. Now,
this is what Sarah Sammy says.
That's what Sarah Sammy is telling Judge Carol Weimer. Let's watch the body cam.
Let's watch the body cam.
Which one is it?
What's that?
Which one is
It's in a box.
Oh.
Per my conversation with Sarah,
so this is the independent experts. That's the independent experts.
And this is Robert Drum's body cam.
Okay, and that's the attorney at the time.
And this is Robert Drum's body cam.
That's Robert Drum's body cam.
Talking to the expert.
Talking to the expert.
Okay.
This is the first time
Listen to what he said. Per my conversation with Sarah
Let's go back from the beginning.
Which one is it? Which one is it?
What's that?
Which one is
It's in a box. Per my conversation with Sarah, so this is the first time I've ever done this in 18 years. She said we can pull it out for you.
Yeah.
You can look at it. She doesn't want anybody touching it.
Okay. Like touching it, I mean, can I?
Like if you want to take pictures and all that, but if anything needs to be manipulated, we'll do it for you for chain of custody issues.
Perfect. Sure. Okay.
But yeah, you're more than welcome to like poke around.
Yeah.
But nothing gets moved, changed, or anything like that. So. Cool.
Did y'all already pull the module?
Let me play another body cam for you.
By the way, I laugh because he says they don't want anything manipulated when they've...
Look at the car. Look at the car. I mean, the car went from... I mean...
Like, it's just
the
funny.
car went from this to this
at the impound.
At the impound. This is at the impound.
And they don't want this guy to manipulate the car because they want to preserve it.
So we just watched. They want to preserve it. They don't want anything manipulated. Okay, this is another body cam where he's gonna ask him. I mean, it's disturbing. It's so disturbing.
They don't want it manipulated. They chop the shit out of that car, and then they tell the expert, "You're not allowed to touch the lug nuts. Don't open the doors. Don't touch anything. You're not allowed to touch anything."
I mean, just when you think it's bad, it gets worse. I mean, we just heard Sarah Sammy is telling Judge Weimer that she allowed both vehicles to be inspected.
Back in the General District Court, before anything.
This is a body cam where Robert Drum is telling his lieutenant that we're not going to let this independent expert inspect the SUV.
Oh, interesting. Can you make that full screen?
Yeah.
No. Okay.
Did you hear that? Can I inspect the SUV? No.
Okay, play it.
Am I allowed to take pictures of the other vehicle?
No.
Okay.
Am I allowed to touch the other vehicle?
No. Am I allowed to look at the other vehicle?
No. No.
But what did she say in that statement? What did she tell the judge? Do you still have it up?
I have it up.
Okay. I'd like to read it again. I mean, after watching that body cam, what did she say?
Sarah Sammy, my understanding, so in the lower court, when Mrs. Stevens, Mustafa's defense attorney, the one we saw on the body cam, was counsel off record for Mr. Al-Jazari, I set up a time with the police department to allow Mr. Stevens and an expert that had been hired by him to come and inspect each of the vehicles at the impound lot. Now it gets, just when you think it's disturbing, listen to what the officer reasoned behind why he's not letting the independent expert look at the SUV. He's telling his lieutenant, by the way.
Can you see a need to? We'll take the straps off. Maybe we'll cover some. We need to cover some.
Court orders just for this. Court orders just for this, and I don't see how the Suburban evidentiary value are covering it.
He's telling his lieutenant, Sean Peake, I don't see why the SUV would have any evidentiary value. Essentially, this is so comical.
And this is in coordination with Sarah Sammy.
He said, Prosecutor Sarah Sammy said, you can't touch the other vehicle. You can't touch Mustafa's vehicle, and you can't touch the other vehicle.
But she tells the judge.
She told the judge
that she allowed Mustafa's experts to look at the vehicle. That was a lie.
My question for Judge Carol Weimer, in front of you, Prosecutor Sarah Sammy is putting on a motion where she has investigator Chad Mason. This is a motion to admit EDR. She's bringing in Chad Mason, and Chad Mason is pulling the EDR, the computer, from Mustafa's vehicle, and she has investigator Vaco pull the EDR from the SUV. So clearly, there is evidentiary value from the other vehicle. So why is it, Judge Carol Weimer, presiding Judge Carol Weimer, who's supposed to be impartial in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case, you're watching a body cam where clearly the prosecutor lied to you. She told you we allowed the independent expert to inspect both vehicles. Now, we're watching this prosecutor block the other vehicle from being inspected. But yet she's giving you a motion on the record telling you that my investigator is going to be pulling the EDR, is going to be talking about the other vehicle. Clearly there's evidentiary value. So my question to you, Judge Carol Weimer, who's blocking this case from moving forward? Is it Mustafa, the guy that's sitting in solitary confinement, or the prosecutor that's blocking the evidence from moving forward and essentially blocking and breaking your judge order? You gave a judge order to inspect the vehicle.
And she's lying to him.
Now, my question for this judge, I mean, if you want to entertain that the prosecutor didn't block the vehicle from being inspected, why are you giving another order to inspect the vehicle if the prosecutor never blocked the vehicle inspection? We clearly are watching it on body cam, but I'm just entertaining the BS that's coming out of the prosecution office, that's coming out of your courtroom. I mean,
by the way, till today, the vehicle has not been inspected.
The vehicle has not been inspected.
I mean, is it the guy that's in solitary confinement's fault? He's not inspecting the car. It's ultimately the prosecutor and the police who are giving access to the expert. And when the police tell the expert, when they show up, you're not looking at this car. We're not going to allow you to look at this car. I mean, the expert can only say, okay, what else do you want me to do? I'm not going to fight you over it. I mean, it's up to the attorney at that point to go back to the court and tell the judge, the prosecutor blocked your order. But this judge, for some odd reason, is just taking it. He's not responding to it. She lies to him about the car. She lied to him about other things in this case, like the children and who spoke to the minors when there's reports that she specifically spoke to the minor, that the police department, specifically officers, spoke to the minors, but she tells the judge that no one communicated with the minors other than the CAC, the Child Advocacy Center, and that was a lie. So she's lied multiple times to the judge in his face, and he hasn't done anything about it. So is Judge Carol Weimer impartial? The answer is really no. It's no. And there has to be a reason for it.
I want to pull up the document that you're talking about, because Prosecutor Sarah Sammy stood in court and told the presiding judge that the children were never spoken to outside the CAC interview. Now, there's a document where she says in the case file that she met with a 16-year-old Kylie outside the forensic interview. So which one? With the police? And we know from the forensic interview the children are talking about, investigator told them 1, 2, and 3.
Well, we know from the body cams
exactly
that Kylie, which is a minor, was on speed dial with Robert Drum with Davis. They were on speed dial. They were calling her left and right. So for the prosecutor to just flat out lie, and she thinks what? She's going to get away with it because it's a sealed file, that she can do whatever she wants. And then she tells the judge it's dangerous to release her communication with the police. And we see why. Because she instructed Drum. She instructed Drum. He says, per my conversation with Sammy, you're not going to touch this car, expert. You're not going to touch this car. So when she says it's dangerous for her to release her communication, it's going to show that she was obstructing the evidence from being examined by the defense.
This is a document that's in Mustafa's file where it reads, on March 15, 2024, ACA Mallet, Sarah Sammy, and myself arranged a follow-up meeting with Kylie Clapp, the 16-year-old, at the courthouse. The child, the prosecutor Sarah Sammy, is telling the presiding judge in a Brady motion, no one met with the children outside the forensic.
No one spoke to the children.
Outside the forensic interview.
Outside the CAC.
The purpose of the meeting was to touch base with Kylie to see how she was doing and see if she recalled what she disclosed during the forensic interview. Kylie was able to make very similar statement as to the behavior of Mustafa Al-Jazari and her mother, and she had previously during the forensic interview on September 8, 2023. But she's telling the judge that no one met with Kylie. Well, now, where is the transcript from this meeting?
Exactly. Here's the issue.
Where's the body cam from this meeting?
This is Brady material. When an alleged witness makes statements to the police, to the prosecutor, the defense has a right to that because it's considered exculpatory information. What did the witness say? I mean, she's claiming, she's checking to see whether Kylie still remembers the lies that they fed her initially. That's what she's saying. Okay, well, what did Kylie say? Did she give contradictory statements to her initial interview? Did she forget what you coached her on? I mean, that should be given to the defense.
The problem here is that Judge Carol Weimer, when you have a prosecutor that is in court flat out lying to you, a judge that's impartial on the case would hold the prosecutor in contempt. But this judge, Judge Carol Weimer, is allowing the prosecution to do whatever they want. I mean,
he's entertaining it.
He's entertaining. It's getting to a point. I mean, for the past 3 years, this case, I mean, till today, this case is sealed. But what we can do, the fact that I have this file, I have the body cams and the document that they're sealing in this case, now we can verify that this prosecutor is absolutely lying in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. We can pull up the transcript, we can pull up the body cam, and we can prove that this judge is entertaining a prosecutor that's lying. And therefore, he's not impartial in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case.
Okay.
Now, the question on this podcast, what we're going to be talking about is the trial is getting delayed. Every time Mustafa has trial, it gets pushed another year. I mean, Mustafa is scheduled for a trial in March. Why is he not having a trial in March? The prosecution would tell you that it's Mustafa's fault. Mustafa, that's sitting in solitary confinement, is the reason that his trial is delayed. When evidence show that the prosecution is blocking the evidence in this case from moving forward. Now, we're going to read the prosecution's motion. I want to read the motion, and I want to attack one point at a time. Based on the body cams, based on the document that I have, that I stole from the prosecution, I have evidence that the prosecution is being an obstructionist. The prosecution is obstructing this case from moving forward. How? By blocking the evidence. Let's go over the motion. And specifically, go ahead.
But before you go into that, I just wanted to ask you a question, something that we talked about earlier. What was the prosecution's reason initially? This goes back to August of 2023. And I mean, we can verify today what happened in August of 2023 because we have the transcript. And Prosecutor Sarasami denied Mustafa bond because she made a giant allegation.
That's right.
That Mustafa had crashed his car separate to this case, that Mustafa had crashed the car previously and given his passenger, who she alleged is Jason Nance, a traumatic brain injury. She tells the judge, Your Honor, this defendant has done this before. He has previously crashed his car intentionally and given his passenger, Jason Nance, traumatic brain injury. So he's a danger to the community. And you should deny him bail because this evidence that I'm proffering, because I have a witness, Jason Nance, who's going to tell you Mustafa gave him traumatic brain injury. Okay? And then immediately after, she tells the judge, this case should be sealed, which means all transcripts, all filings, every piece of this case should be sealed. And she cited a very specific reason for why this case should be sealed. I mean, today we find out that the initial reason she cited for sealing this case is the same information that she released to the media.
So I'm going to read.
So was this case sealed really for the reason she initially stated? Or was this case sealed for an ulterior motive?
I mean, the bottom line is this prosecutor is hiding behind 5-year-old Empress that's on the dash camera. She's telling the court.
That's what she's hiding
And I'm going to
behind.
read the transcript. She tells the judge that we have to seal off this case because 5-year-old Empress is on the dash camera. Dorothy Fontaine, Mustafa's girlfriend, is on the dash camera. Your Honor, there's a baby that's on the dash camera. And then turns around and releases the dash camera.
I mean, that's crazy.
I mean, the question here is, clearly, it's not about 5-year-old Empress that you're sealing the case. So if you're releasing the dash camera, why are you sealing this case? I mean, you're telling us because it's a 5-year-old baby, but then you're releasing so clearly there's something else. Is it possible that you are using officers that falsified this case? Is it possible that you're using individuals on body cam tell you we're not witnesses?
So there's another reason why she's sealing off this case.
Clearly.
Because
there's another reason.
She initially cited that the reason why she doesn't want this case public, she wants everything sealed. She says because there's a dash camera in this case that depicts the last moment of a mother and her baby before they passed away. And that this case should be sealed simply because of that. Later in other motions, she says that she's sealing off this case to protect the alleged witnesses in this case. Okay? Now, she herself, the prosecutor, has released that same dash cam footage of the woman and her baby moments before they passed away. She revealed that to the media. She released that to the media.
So why is the case still sealed?
And then she says she's sealing off the case to protect witnesses. Yet Commonwealth Amy Ashworth released Mustafa's entire file. And I'll remind you that she released every single witness in this case along with their address. Every single witness with their address, their name, address, unredacted, has been released. So again, why are you sealing off this case?
I mean, if I was Mustafa's defense attorney, I would file a motion to unseal this case. One, the prosecutor claim why she's sealing the case is obviously void. She's the one that released the dash camera. The witness list is all public. So why is this case sealed? Other than make it difficult for this trial to move forward. Other than us, the community finding out that this prosecution is using officers that falsified this case.
She's really sealing one thing.
She's protecting the officers that lied.
Look, if you really look at this case, she's not sealing it because of the witnesses. She's not sealing it because she says the dash cam shows the last moment or whatever her excuse was. You look at this case, she's really sealing off this case because she wants to seal off the body cams. And what do the body cams show? The body cams tells you a story of how officers falsified this case, how they intimidated witnesses, how officers changed witness statements, okay? And how they tampered with his car, destroyed it, staged it, and how they destroyed his dash camera or removed the audio from it.
Absolutely.
Now, if you look at these body cams, you're going to piece together a puzzle, okay? And the question really becomes, there are missing pieces of the puzzle. And you ask yourself, there should be a body cam between these times, and I don't see it. So you're going to put the pieces together, and you're going to find out that officers, or the prosecutor, is removing specific pieces of body cams. I mean, the reason why they don't want you to have the body cams is because if you have a 20-minute recording and 5 minutes or 5-minute segment is missing from the middle, you're going to be asking yourself the question, where is this 5 minutes going? Okay?
And we're coming up on a commercial break.
Just like Romero, he is praised by the Commonwealth attorney. He's praised by Sarah Sammy for his outstanding job with the children.
When in fact, evidence show that he weaponized the children.
And we have no body cams of Romero. We have no police reports of Romero.
Missing body cams.
Body cams.
What we're doing right now, we're coming up on a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to read the transcript from Sarah Sammy and how she's telling the judge, how essentially she's telling the judge the case should be sealed because 5-year-old Empress is on dash camera, essentially hiding behind 5-year-old Empress when in fact the prosecutor is releasing 5-year-old Empress to the media. She's releasing the dash camera. So we're gonna read the transcript. We're gonna go on NBC4 and see what NBC4, well, prosecutor Sarah Sammy, and how she released the dash camera and why she's telling the judge this case should be sealed. And we're gonna ask the question: why is the Mustafa Al-Jazari case? Is it because 5-year-old Empress is on the dash camera, or the prosecution wants to hide that she's using police officers?
She wants to protect the officers that lie.
Absolutely. This is not the Boredom Podcast. Mustafa through the police body cam. We're going to take a commercial break, a couple of minutes, and we will be back.
If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay? If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case.
Okay.
If you disclose that information in any way, all of it needs to be destroyed now. But if you disclose it in any way, is going to put me in a position where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you all choose to go on the internet and try to publicize this stuff, that's going to create real problems.
Okay.
You can't do it, is what I'm telling you. You cannot do it. I will have to.
This is not another boring podcast. Mustafa through the police body cam. Judge Carol Weimer, you are under the microscope. So in this segment, what we're going to talk about is why is the Mustafa Al-Jazari case sealed? We're going to take you into the courtroom and hear from the prosecutor herself. We're going to listen to what the prosecutor is telling the judge, and essentially the judge sealed off the case and then turn around and the prosecutor contradicts herself and does the exact opposite why she's telling the judge that this case should be sealed. And the question is, why are they sealing the Mustafa Al-Jazari case? Are they sealing this case? Is the prosecutor hiding behind a 5-year-old baby on a dash camera? Or is the prosecutor sealing off this case because she's using officers that falsified this case, using witnesses that are fake witnesses, essentially to protect the officers? Let's read the transcript. I want to thank Mohammed for being here. Mohammed, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Let's go into the transcript from court where prosecutor Sarah Sami tells the judge why she needs this transcript sealed. Let's see. All right. So this is August 7, 2023. Prosecutor Sarah Sami tells the judge, Your Honor, I spoke with Mr. Stevens. Mr. Stevens was the defense attorney at the time. There we go. I spoke with Mr. Stevens. If the court could actually seal the exhibits admitted into evidence, he has no objection to the ex parte and sealing of the exhibits. The judge tells the prosecutor, and what would be the reason for that? Prosecutor Sarah Sami says, Your Honor, she says, Your Honor, given that this is a very highly contested case, there has been a protective order entered between the Commonwealth and defense counsel indicating that whatever exhibits are admitted, they will be under seal. And specifically, with the dash camera, it depicts Ms. Fontaine and Empress Fontaine, the 5-year-old, moments before their death. Mustafa, in this case, lost his family in a vehicle accident. Evidence showed that this is a car accident. Here, the prosecutor tells the judge that the dash camera is going to show the last moment of 5-year-old Empress and Mustafa's girlfriend. And essentially, that's why she wants the case sealed. And specifically, okay, so let's continue. And specifically with the dash camera, it depicts Miss Fontaine and Empress Fontaine, the 5-year-old, moments before their death. The judge tells the prosecutor, okay, can you take care of that, Madam Clerk? And he basically grants the prosecutor the case being sealed.
Unbelievable.
I mean, so far, let's entertain what is going on out of this transcript. The prosecutor is telling the judge, there's a baby, there's a girlfriend, the last moments. But it gets disturbing when you find out on NBC4, prosecutor Sarah Sami released the dash camera to Julie Carey on NBC4.
And not only that, she released the very specific portion that she used to seal off this dash camera. She releases that portion. How does that make any sense?
Let's watch.
I thought you were hiding behind a woman and her baby and their last moment before they died. And then you want to all of a sudden just throw it out there?
The question that we're asking.
I mean, what happened to protecting Dorothy Fontaine and her daughter moments before they died? What happened to that? You don't care anymore?
Clearly, that's not the reason why they're sealing the case.
Clearly, that's not the reason why she really wants to seal the case.
So let's find out. I mean, let's watch what Julie Carey released on NBC4 and go from there.
Only on 4 tonight, newly released dash cam video shows the seconds before a car crashed into oncoming traffic and killed a woman and her young daughter.
Now, the man who has been jailed for more than a year, accused of intentionally causing that crash, may soon bond out of jail. He faces 2 charges of second-degree murder.
Northern Virginia Bureau Chief Julie Carey was in court today when prosecutors presented evidence, including video from that dash cam. And we want to warn you, some of what you're about to see is disturbing.
This is some of the dashcam video the prosecution played for the judge to try to convince him to keep Mustafa al-Jazari behind bars.
What do we have here? We have 5-year-old Empress. We have 5-year-old Empress. We have Mustafa's girlfriend. In another segment, she releases the full dash camera.
Unbelievable.
I mean, the reason that you're telling the judge you want this case sealed, you turn around and release it on
I thought
NBC4.
it was to protect.
So the question here is, clearly, it's not what you're telling the judge. There is another reason.
There's another reason.
This is another segment from NBC4.
So screw the victims in this case.
Exactly.
Right? Screw the victims. Because clearly you released that footage.
I mean, when you find out what NBC4, what Prosecutor Sarah Sammy actually released to NBC4 is an edited version from Mustafa's dash camera. She has no problem releasing the last moment of 5-year-old Empress.
Clearly.
But she's going to edit the hemp cigarette that Mustafa and Dorothy are sharing moments before the vehicle accident.
She's going to edit the part where he's giving Empress candy, where he's buying her candy 5 minutes prior to the accident.
So,
where he's washing her hands, where he's washing his car, where he's filling up gas. She's going to disregard all that.
I mean,
disregard all the facts.
You're going to use, they used an officer that falsified Mustafa's statements, and they put on the police report, this officer said, Mustafa, you told me you were arguing inside the vehicle. And you found out later, there's a recording of the conversation that Mustafa never said that.
By the way, till this day, the prosecutor has not released Robert Drum's body cam of that phone conversation. They've only used my recording. And what's the reason why prosecutor is hiding the Robert Drum body cam from that phone conversation? Did he have Amy Hodson on three-way when he was talking to Mustafa? Did he have his wife on three-way? I mean, there's more misconduct that they're hiding. The prosecutor admitted my recording into evidence. Imagine.
Let's watch.
She put in my recording from the conversation with Mustafa.
But they won't use the body cam or the actual body cam.
They won't release it to the lawyer. And the real question is, who was on that phone call with Drum that they don't want to be released? What is that going to show? Well, time will tell.
Let's watch. Let's read the transcript. We're going to get into the evidence that we have in this case. We're going to go over the dash camera. We're going to look at the evidence that show what is going on in the Mustafa al-Jazari case and why are they sealing off this case. Clearly, we know that it's not, the prosecutor is hiding behind 5-year-old Empress. Clearly, we know that's not the reason why this case is sealed. The witness list has been released by the prosecution. 5-year-old Empress dash camera has been released, a portion the last moment. So clearly, there's something else that's going on.
Clearly, they're not protecting witnesses or 5-year-old Empress. That's clear.
I think the more we go over the details in the Mustafa al-Jazari case, you're going to come out with a conclusion that the prosecution is sealing off this case because they're using officers that falsified this case. So let's dive into the motion that was filed by Prosecutor Sarah Sammy to deny a bond reconsideration. Mustafa's attorney, there is evidence that's coming out that showed this is a car accident and police falsified a whole entire case. Now, the prosecutor filed a motion for Judge Carol Weimer to hear out the evidence, reconsider the bond, because Judge Weimer, back when he denied the bond, this case was sealed. Evidence was being held as exculpatory evidence, was not released by the prosecution office. Since then, evidence has been released. where it shows major evidence that show this is a car accident. And the reason that the Judge Carol Weimer denied the bond, now evidence show that the lip reader, Judge Carol Weimer, denied the bond for two reasons. There's a lip reader. That lip reader has been kicked off the case. And two, the prosecutor alleged, with no evidence, that Mustafa threatened a correctional officer. Therefore, he's a danger to the community. Well, evidence come out. Evidence today show that Mustafa never threatened a correctional officer. We're going to go over this evidence. And because of this evidence, Mustafa's lawyer filed a motion to have the judge reconsider Mustafa's bond.
Because there's a major change in circumstance. The lip reader was kicked off. That was a major part of why he was denied bond. Okay, and the other thing was she says he threatened a correctional officer. But because you have the file today, you can verify from the jail calls, from the jail reports, that never happened. And at the time, the judge...
Not only that, I have a CCTV video of the incident.
Okay, so you have CCTV and reports.
And a witness that came forward that tell you...
Recording.
Mustafa never threatened a correctional officer. Instead, they went in and beat Mustafa. So we're going to go over this evidence. And
the judge refuses to listen to this evidence. Refuses to acknowledge that this evidence exists. And we ask the question, why is this judge not being impartial?
Absolutely. So Mustafa's defense attorney filed a motion to have Judge Carol Weimer hear out the evidence, and the judge denied that motion. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to read the motion that the prosecutor filed to have the judge deny the motion reconsideration. And we're going to go line by line, point by point. And we're going to show you body cam that showed that this prosecutor is lying to the presiding judge, Judge Carol Weimer. Major evidence showed that, one, this is a car accident, and two, Mustafa never threatened a correctional officer like what the prosecutor is alleging. And the question here is Judge Weimer impartial when he denies the hearing altogether without listening to the evidence? I mean, a defense attorney is telling you, Your Honor, the reason that you denied bond, I have evidence that show that the prosecutor is lying to you. Two, major evidence show that this is a car accident and police officers are falsifying this case. You're going to turn around and deny the hearing when she's telling you the children in this case have been a 9, a 10, a 14 have been weaponized by the police department. That's child abuse, Judge Carol Weimer. The least you can do is hear the evidence when the defense is telling you, I have evidence that police officer engaged in child abuse, weaponized children.
Can I add something really quick?
Go ahead.
You know, I find it really interesting. I took notes on this. In court, when the lawyer she says, Your Honor, I watched a video where my client, the defendant, was beaten by correctional officers and dragged unconscious down a flight of steps. He was abused inside the jail. I find it shocking that the judge does not even address it. Judge, you just heard a defendant was beaten to the point of unconsciousness, sexually assaulted by officers inside of your jail, and you don't address it. You don't even ask or probe. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that, defense attorney? What do you mean your client was beaten by officers? What does that mean? You're telling me you watched a video of a man who is presumed innocent sitting in solitary confinement for 3 years? What do you mean he got beaten up and sexually assaulted? And you watched a video of it? Nothing. He's silent. And that is the disturbing part. When a judge listens to a defense attorney tell him, my client was beaten. And the judge is just like,
I mean, clearly,
I'm going to deny bond. Take him away.
He didn't. Yeah, exactly. I've never
Isn't
seen.
that weird? A judge listening to that?
It's disturbing.
And doesn't even address it. And the prosecutor didn't even say anything back. The prosecutor didn't rebuttal that. She didn't say anything. The judge is silent. I mean, where is justice? You know, you look at this judge, you look at Prince William County Circuit Court, and you ask yourself the question, is it normal practice to get beaten up as a presumed innocent defendant in Prince William County? Is that normal practice? And the judge's inaction, I think, is a demonstration that this happens more than people like to think.
But by the way, this is now the second attorney on Mustafa's case that's telling Judge Carol Weimer that my client has been beaten and abused.
The third, because Elaine Jarvis said it too.
Absolutely.
Brad Haywood.
Absolutely.
And now this defense attorney.
The third attorney that's telling the presiding judge that my client, Mustafa Al-Jazari, was beaten, abused, beaten to the point of unconsciousness inside the jail. Let's watch Elaine Jarvis. And essentially, that's why they went after Elaine Jarvis, because she went out.
Unbelievable that a judge in 2026 would listen to a defense attorney tell him, my client was beaten. My client, who's presumed innocent, who his entire case has been falsified, was beaten. And the judge doesn't say a single word.
This is Elaine Jarvis.
That is crazy.
She came out with the CCTV video that said Mustafa Al-Jazari, and she released the jail video, the CCTV video where Mustafa is being carried after they beat him, carried him unconscious from one cell into another cell where they beat him again in another cell. Let's watch that video.
There, this is Elaine Jarvis. I'm coming to you from Front Royal, Virginia, and I have some breaking news from a case that we're working and appearing in the Eastern District of Virginia in the Alexandria District tomorrow. We're seeking a preliminary injunction to have our client, Mustafa Al-Jazari, transferred from Prince William Regional Adult Detention Center and either held as he awaits trial in a different regional jail where they're not beating him and denying him medical treatment, or preferably held at home on an ankle bracelet. My client, as you will soon hear, has been held as a pretrial detainee in Prince William for 18 months as he awaits trial. And while in jail, he has been beaten and he has been denied medical treatment. The video that you're about to watch has been provided to us. We are not under a protective seal. The government is trying to get us to agree to a protective seal. We absolutely don't agree, because if we don't have these videos come out, these abuses, these beatings will continue. And we are Americans. We are not afraid of the light of day. This is a picture of my client, Mustafa Al-Jazari. This is 2 weeks after the video that will show you at least part of what happened in jail, which is him being carried semi-conscious out of his jail cell by 6 guards. And you will hear testimony from a fellow inmate who saw the beating. Please watch this, and please understand that if we don't stand strong and speak out on behalf of our rights, none of us will have them. Thanks for listening, and God bless you.
So this is the CCTV video that the defense attorney, Elaine Jarvis, released. This is the third attorney that's telling this judge, Judge Carol Weimer, that Mustafa was beaten and abused inside the jail. So let's watch the CCTV video.
He was in 32 at the time, right across from me. I just got done talking to my mom on the phone, and I witnessed the COs going into his room, pushing him up against the wall, handcuffing his hands behind his back, slamming him down onto the ground, and kicking him. And then after that was done, they kept on saying, do not resist. And he wasn't resisting at all. He was laying there. And they picked him up, started carrying him down the stairs, took him into cell 1, and did it again.
Yeah, I'm listening to you.
That's all I have.
No, that's my other brother. He's got questions for you.
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
Good, how's it going?
Good. You know, we just want to say, like, you know, like, we really appreciate your call.
No problem. He's like a brother to me, man. It's like we both use prayer rugs and everything, and I respect him.
Man,
that shit never happened to him.
Yeah, like, it's crazy because when he says it, like, you know, people always say, you know, like, they question things like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, like, you would think that it would never happen to anybody.
Exactly. And then you witness it, and you're just like, what do I do? I told the COs that I'm going to be his witness no matter what.
You're going to see guards, after they beat Mustafa, they carry him unconscious from one cell down the stairs to another cell.
Because it's messed up what they did.
Wow, that's crazy.
They do that to a lot of people, and they think they can get away with it, and they can't.
That's crazy.
It needs to be stopped.
Clearly, you just saw Mustafa get kicked by the guard. I mean, if you watch here, I'm going to rewind it just a little bit. Mustafa's half naked. They have him half naked. And they drag him. And they hit him on the head. They kick him. You see the guards right there?
It needs to be stopped.
You see the guards right there? This guard specifically
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
is going to kick.
One of the days we're
Hit
going to
and
end
kick
up going
Mustafa.
home, so
That's crazy.
it needs to be stopped. We're people.
I think just let it play out once and
One of the days we're going to end up going home, so it's like they need to give us the respect that we give them.
I mean, like, what happened to, you know, like, basic human rights? So the bottom line is Judge Weimer is okay with this type of treatment. And you know, I'll just say one thing really quick. You know, not to take away from the severity of or the horrific nature of that incident itself, but I want to say that's not a reflection of the current administration. This happened under the leadership of Peter Miletus and his staff that all resigned after this case went to the federal courts. And, you know, I want to say it's not a reflection of the current leadership under Alan West, superintendent, or the officers that we see every week when we go visit Mustafa. I mean, the people that we see now under the new administration, you know, they all seem like nice people. Okay. But I think this was a dirty leadership under the previous administration. And, you know, I think Sheriff Glenn Hill made a good decision by getting rid of all those people that were involved in this type of disgusting behavior. You know, I mean, that's all I have to say. It's just, I mean, again, it's shocking that a lawyer would tell a judge in 2026 that my client was being, I watched a video, and the judge doesn't say, what video did you watch? Show me that video. He doesn't go into the judge's chambers and say, I'm demanding to see that video. What the hell are you talking about?
And that's the disturbing
Instead,
part.
he ignores it,
And that's
as if it was never said.
As if it was never said. I mean,
and you want to tell me this judge is impartial? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I mean, for the judge to deny the hearing, to listen to the motion to reconsider the bond when the defense attorney is telling him, Your Honor, I have major evidence that show that the reason that you denied bond, I have evidence that showed that this prosecutor lied to you.
Everything the prosecutor said is a lie. Every proffer she's ever made was a lie. And it's provable by body cam evidence that you have today. I mean, that's what we're sitting here talking about day and night.
The bottom line is, what do you do when a judge is impartial? Okay, you have to go above the judge.
You have to go above him. You have to submit it to a different court.
There's something wrong with this judge. I mean,
100%.
when it gets to the point that you are no longer listening to the evidence, and you're letting a prosecutor just flat out do whatever she wants.
Lie to you.
Based on the evidence. There is evidence that show this prosecutor is lying to you. There's something going on.
Something's going on.
So, I mean, look, the longer this case goes on, more details are coming out.
And people are starting to take notice. I mean, listen. When I open up a brand new YouTube channel, okay, and I get over 20,000 views in the last 2 days, you know people are listening. And
Absolutely.
people are not okay. They're not okay with judges like Judge Weimer. They're not okay with prosecutors like Sarah Sammy. And they're not okay with a police department that falsifies, destroys, and tampers with evidence. Everything that the prosecutor is accusing the family of, they're doing it themselves, except they do it with a badge. They wear a badge and they go around and they do it.
Look, I'll tell you, you have to be objective when you're dealing with a situation like this. I refuse to think that the whole entire police department is a reflection of what's going on in this case. Now, there are certain police officers that clearly, based on the evidence, falsified this case. There's a Prosecutor Sarah Sammy, that's using these police officers to falsify this case. The chief of police is entertaining and allowing these officers, and he's protecting these officers. I mean, what do we see in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case? Evidence that showed this case is falsified. I mean, and the bottom line is there is so much that's already out that the chief of police, Peter Newsham, cannot contain and protect these police officers. They're going to have to be held accountable by law. I mean, clearly, Chief of Police Peter Newsham doesn't care about the reputation of his police department.
Clearly, he doesn't.
So, you have a prosecutor that's clearly lying. You have a judge that's clearly entertaining a prosecutor that's using police officer that falsified the case and is lying to him in court. And people, this community is starting to take notice because they're reading the transcript, they're watching the body cam that's been released, and they're watching that this case is being falsified. Now, let's read the motion that's coming out of the prosecution office, Prosecutor Sarah Sammy and Prosecutor Stephanie Buck, and let's see the evidence that we have. Is this prosecutor lying on the record? I mean, the days of proffering are now, you can no longer proffer because they're over. I can check you in real time. Now that I have the file, the Mustafa Al-Jazari.
We have what you have.
We have
what you have.
What you have. And we can litigate this case on this podcast and find out, are you lying to Judge Carol Weimer, the presiding judge? And the question is, why is this judge entertaining it? Is he impartial in the Mustafa Al-Jazari? Well, let's have the evidence speak for itself. Let's read the motion for Prosecutor Sarah Sammy. Let's pull that up. All right. So this is Prosecutor Sarah Sammy and Prosecutor Stephanie Buck. Motion, Commonwealth supplement. Wrong motion. Reconsider. There we go. This is it. Commonwealth's response to defendant second motion for reconsideration of bond. All right. So let's see what this prosecutor is talking about. Come now, the Commonwealth, through her deputy and senior assistant Commonwealth attorney, and hereby gives notice that on February 13, 2026 at 1 p.m. or as soon thereafter as counsel may be heard, the Commonwealth respectfully move this honorable court to deny the defendant a request for a hearing on his second motion for reconsideration of bond. In support thereof, the Commonwealth state as follows. All right, statement of facts. All right. The Commonwealth thereby incorporates by reference all evidence, exhibit, transcript, testimony, and argument presented at the hearing conducted on May 3rd, 2024, May 10, 2024, and July 19, 2024. This incorporation includes, but not limited to, all witnesses, testimony, document evidence, demonstrative exhibits, and proffers made during those proceedings. The Commonwealth further incorporates by reference its brief in support of the court's motion to reconsider order filed on May 9, 2024, as well as the Commonwealth's response to defendant motion to reconsider bail on evidence filed on July 16, 2024, as though fully set forth herein. right? Procedural. On October 2nd, 2023, the grand jury returned 6 direct indictments, charging the defendant with 2 counts of second-degree murder in violation of 18.2-32, the Code of Virginia, 2 counts of felony murder in violation of 18.2-33 of the Code of Virginia, 1 count of child abuse neglect in violation of 18.2-371A of the Code of Virginia, and 1 count of attempted malicious wounding in violation of 18.2-51 of Code Virginia. True bill were returned on all charges. Now,
can I add something to that?
Of course.
Okay. I just want to say, from that indictment from October 2nd, 2023, if you look at the indictment itself, Amy Ashworth relied on one officer to come into the grand jury and testify. Okay? Now, we've identified what Drum was saying about this case. He was telling Casey Stevens in a body cam, he told him that Mustafa never hit the brake, never attempted any evasive action to avoid a vehicle accident. That was a lie because the EDR is just numbers. The EDR doesn't lie. And today you have the EDR, so you can verify what the EDR shows. It shows Mustafa was on the brake and Drum was lying. Imagine if Drum is telling the defense attorney who's about to get the EDR, because Casey Stevens was going to get the EDR in discovery, yet Drum is lying to him to his face, telling him Mustafa never hit the brake. EDR, by the way, it's very simple. It's very easy to read. It says brake, throttle, and steering angle. Mustafa was on the brake the entire time. Not a single time was the throttle accelerator used. Yet Drum is telling Casey Stevens Mustafa never hit the brake. Can you imagine what he said to the grand jury? Okay? He falsified Mustafa's statement, and Chief Newsham himself issued a letter to you saying that Robert Drum had violated department policy. When you told the police department, I have a recording that Mustafa never said I was arguing. And they corrected it. And the chief of police issued a letter. And today we find out Robert Drum destroyed Mustafa's car, destroyed his dash camera, and he, on body cam, is changing witness testimony. You want to tell me that guy, that officer, testified to the grand jury? And you want to tell me he didn't lie to the grand jury?
So let's watch what Robert Drum is on body cam telling us.
I mean, we know this case was falsified.
On body cam.
100%.
On body cam, Robert Drum is flat out falsifying this case. He says Mustafa never hit the brake when the EDR showed that Mustafa's foot is on the brake the whole entire time. Prosecutor Sarah Sammy is using that police officer. So when she comes here and she sits in a motion and writes, Mustafa is being charged with this, Mustafa is being charged with that. Wait a minute. You're using an officer that falsified this case. Let's watch what Robert Drum.
I mean, the craziest thing in this case is that he's lying to the one guy, the lawyer, that's about to get a copy of the EDR. He's about to get a copy of it. And you're going to lie to that guy. Imagine what you're telling the grand jury, who's not going to look at EDR. They're not going to listen to witness testimony. They're going to listen and rely on that officer's testimony alone to issue an indictment. And they did, because he lied. And chief of police issued a letter saying Robert Drum violated department policy.
It's all over the news.
After the indictment.
What you're talking about is all over the news.
I mean, that is crazy. Robert Drum is falsifying this entire case. The prosecutor is defending an officer that lies. She's defending a Chad Mason who took Mustafa's dash cam and violated chain of custody. I mean, what else do you have? The integrity of the evidence has been destroyed.
Let's watch the body
What
cam.
else do you have in this case?
Let's watch the body cam. This is Robert Drum. Robert Drum, the main investigator that's used by the prosecution on an indictment in the grand jury, on body cam, is flat out falsifying this case. He's telling the defense attorney, who at the time, the prosecutor, remember, the prosecutor said we're going to seal off this case, and she wasn't releasing evidence. Let's listen to what Robert Drum is telling Casey Stevens, that Mustafa never hit the brake when the EDR showed that Mustafa's foot was on the brake the whole entire time.
The thing that I would say helped was there was no pre-crash information from this car. No braking, no skid marks, no drag mark, nothing. So everything was contained from AOI with the Suburban to a relatively short violent distance to the wall.
All right, so he just told him no braking, right?
I mean, if you really listen to what he said the thing that helped. The thing that helped meaning what? Arrest him, indict him? That's what it means. The thing that helped Drum arrest Mustafa, the thing that helped Amy Ashworth indict Mustafa on these serious charges is that Drum is saying there was no pre-crash data showing that Mustafa hit the brake. You have the data recorder. Today you have it because you stole it. Had you not stolen it, we would all have to assume that what Robert Drum says is fact.
I mean, we would have to assume what Robert Drum's saying the same way the grand jury is assuming an officer would never lie to them.
Exactly.
I mean, this is Mustafa's foot on the brake the whole entire time. Robert Drum just got done telling us on body cam that Mustafa never hit the brake, when in fact Mustafa's on the brake the whole entire time trying to stop the vehicle.
And the SUV that T-boned him never touched the brake pedal. Never. And the 5 seconds that the data recorder records, 5 seconds prior to impact, she never hit the brake. She was going 13 miles over the speed limit. Matter of fact, she was on cruise control. And the investigator tells what? The independent expert? That the other vehicle has no evidentiary value. Oh, I wonder why. Because they want to put the blame on Mustafa. They want to falsify EDR. That's numbers. You can't play with numbers unless Casey Stevens, by the way, is entertaining it. He's allowing it. You want to tell me Casey Stevens didn't look at the EDR that shows Mustafa's on the brake and he's allowing Robert Drum to just say things in front of the expert to help the expert say, I mean, what am I even scanning this car for? What am I even looking at this car for? If you're telling me that this guy never hit the brake, if this guy did it intentionally, that a mother and a child were lost, let's not look at facts. Let's play on emotion. Okay? I mean, he's sitting there sniffing his nose. He's crying. The poor thing, Drum. Poor Drum, he's crying.
I mean, you
want to tell me, like, in front of all these officers, he's sitting there sobbing. The poor guy. But what really helped him is that Mustafa never hit the brake. He's trying to falsify the EDR. And you can't do it today because,
look,
you stole the file.
Casey Stevens, the defense attorney that we just watched, where Robert Drum is on body cam telling him Mustafa never hit the brake, when the EDR actually showed that Mustafa's foot is on the brake the whole entire time. Casey Stevens apparently has a long history with this investigator.
Casey Stevens has a DUI.
Casey Stevens,
he has a DUI, hit and run, and he was arrested by Drum, and he was given a deal where he didn't face any jail time. I mean, I would like to know anybody in Virginia that is driving drunk, crashes their car, and flees the scene and gets no jail time. I'd say bullshit. You're never going to get it. Casey Stevens got it. He got a sweet deal with Drum. So he's returning the favor. I'm going to hand over Mustafa in a silver platter. I'm not going to dispute any of the lies that you're going to put out because you've covered me in the back. You've covered me back in the day. You've saved me from a DUI.
As a matter of fact, he goes on. I mean, at the time, they're inspecting Mustafa's vehicle, which the investigator, we watched on the body cam, blocked the independent expert from touching the vehicle, from inspecting the vehicle. And he said, Prosecutor Sarah Sammy said, you can't touch the vehicle when there's a judge order to inspect the car. Casey Stevens, the defense attorney, allows that investigator to lie to his independent expert.
And block him from inspecting the car.
And block him from inspecting the
Casey
car.
Stevens is not a rookie lawyer. He's been there for like 30 years, 20 years. He's practicing law. You want to tell me Casey Stevens doesn't know that when a judge orders an inspection, who gives a damn who's stepping in the way? A judge order is a judge order. You're going to get to that vehicle whether the officer likes it or not. But Casey Stevens allowed Robert Drum to play this game. He allowed Sarah Sammy to play this game. I mean, when we asked him at the time, we said, what is Robert Drum relying on when he says Mustafa told him he was arguing? And he tells us that the prosecutor already listened to the phone call that we provided to Casey Stevens. What does that mean? He shared the recording with Sarah Sammy. He told Sarah Sammy, the family has a recording of you and the officer. And it was, by the way, if you really think about it, it was Casey Stevens that introduced the protective order. When you really think about it, you told Casey Stevens that if the police department doesn't do anything about Robert Drum falsifying Mustafa's statements, I'm going to go public. And within hours, Casey Stevens calls you back and says, there's a protective order on this case. That's your own lawyer, by the way. That's your lawyer that you paid $50,000 to, and he's working against you. He's putting in a protective order because you told him, I'm going to expose what this officer does. This officer, by the way, that happens to be Casey Stevens' buddy who arrested him for DUI and fleeing the scene of an accident. That's crazy.
So Mustafa, this investigator, not only is lying about Mustafa's foot being on the brake the whole entire time, he goes on and falsifies Mustafa's statements. He says, Mustafa, you told me you were arguing inside the vehicle. When in fact, there's a recording that Mustafa never said that.
And he didn't know there was a recording.
He didn't know there was a
recording. He didn't expect to be a recording.
This is all over the news, by the way. This is all over the news. I want to watch what the news is talking about.
Watch what the news has.
I mean, when the prosecutor is throwing these charges that, Your Honor, Mustafa is charged with this, Mustafa is charged with that, and there's an indictment. Well, the officer that testified in that indictment for the grand jury is the same officer that falsified the whole entire case.
And he's been found to have violated the department policy, according to the chief of police, by the way.
Let's watch.
In a letter.
Absolutely. Let's watch what the news is talking about.
For tonight, there are new questions being raised in the case of a man charged with murder for a crash that killed his girlfriend and her 5-year-old daughter last year.
They come after Prince William's police chief ruled the investigating officer had violated department policy. Northern Virginia Bureau Chief Julie Carey spoke to the driver's defense attorney.
Violated department policy. Gee, I wonder what he did. He falsified the foundation of the whole entire case. I mean, they're telling you that Mustafa is arguing inside the vehicle, and they're telling you
the foundation of the case.
Mustafa told us that. When the recording showed that Mustafa never said that. In fact, instead, the investigator put that in the report. Mustafa, you told me you were arguing inside the vehicle. And evidence show there's a recording that Mustafa never said that. This officer falsified these statements.
He didn't do that, by the way, with just Mustafa. He did that with a lot of witnesses. When they say something, he changes their words.
Absolutely.
He changes their testimony. And that's why you see Prosecutor Sarah Sammy never repeated the Jason Nance incident. She claimed Mustafa crashed his car previously, and she never repeated that again.
We're going to go into Jason Nance. Jason Nance is a huge issue for the prosecution.
Yeah.
About why he thinks the finding casts doubt on the case.
Mustafa Al-Jazeeri's been behind bars for almost a year now, accused of intentionally driving his car into oncoming traffic, a crash that killed Dorothy Fontaine and her 5-year-old daughter, Empress. Initially charged with manslaughter, the charges were later upgraded to second-degree murder. Al-Jazeeri's family insists the crash was an accident. The defendant's brothers filed an internal affairs complaint with the Prince William County Police, alleging the investigating officer, quote, falsified a portion of his police report to say that the couple was arguing before the crash. Al-Jazeeri's brother provided a taped version of a phone conversation that contradicted portions of the written police report. Last month, the Al-Jazeeri family received this brief letter from Prince William Police Chief Peter Newsham reading, the investigation revealed that Master Police Officer Drum violated department policy, therefore appropriate corrective action has been taken.
So the chief of police,
Al-Jaziri hired a new defense attorney, Blake Weiner, who tells me he specializes in police misconduct cases.
The police report talks about my client saying, I know what happened. He didn't say that. The police report also says that they were arguing in the car. He didn't say that. These are not only these material facts and material misrepresentations, they're the foundation of the government's case.
The foundation of the whole entire case. Now, it gets more disturbing just when you think that's all they've done in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. This investigator, we're finding out that he falsified the arrest warrant. Not only did he falsify Mustafa's statements, not only did he falsify the EDR, the computer inside Mustafa's vehicle, not only is he lying about the dash camera, and with the dash camera that is sealed by the Commonwealth attorney. I mean, listen to what's coming out of this case. The prosecutor will hide behind 5-year-old Empress and seal off the case when she's the one releasing the dash camera, but she's not releasing... she's releasing Empress on dash camera to the news, which is the reason that you told us that you're sealing off this case. And then you're finding out that one, you've edited this dash camera because you don't want to show that there is no argument inside the vehicle. Because literally, you remove the audio, you remove the hemp cigarette moments before the accident,
and you cut it
that
before
out,
impact,
and you sealed it. And then we find out that you're sealing the whole entire case because your officer that's being used on the indictment in the grand jury, he falsified the whole entire case.
One of the major things that he falsified was he stated to a magistrate judge,
I'm going to pull up the warrant for you.
I spoke to Mr. Mustafa Al-Jazari at the scene of the accident, and he never did. What the hell is going on here? An officer lying about interviewing the defendant?
This is
flat out lying?
Absolutely.
That's not normal.
This is the warrant where Robert Drum falsified based on the body cam.
That's his sworn affidavit. You swore an oath to this statement that you spoke to Mustafa on the scene. And you never did. You never made contact with Mustafa on the scene. And that's easily verifiable when you cross-reference the times between all the body cams, where Drum was, where Mustafa was. Mustafa had already gone on the helicopter, okay? And you can verify that Robert Drum never spoke to Mustafa on the scene. Yet in this document, he swore an oath to a magistrate. That was a lie. And took Mustafa's freedom.
Robert Drum arrest warrant read. On April 5th, 2023, I responded to the area of Dumfries Road and Fortuna Center Plaza for a crash. Once on the scene, the driver of a black 4-door sedan was being removed from the driver's seat. Robert Drum, when you showed up on scene, the female driver of the SUV sedan, based on the body cam, was already removed out of the vehicle. So that's lie number one. You never saw her being removed out of the SUV. Lie number two, Robert Drum tells you, I spoke to the driver, Mr. Al-Jazari, was not aware of his surrounding, and seemed to be in a daze and slightly removed from the world, consistent with a person who's under the influence of a drug. Lie number two is that you never spoke to Mustafa on the scene.
That's a lie. And that's what the other witness told him, the off-duty paramedic. That's what he told Drum. His assessment was that Mustafa looked to be like he was in a concussion, that he doesn't know what year it is, he doesn't know who the president is, he thinks it's Obama. And Drum took that information and made it his own. Think about it. Drum is going from one person to the next. He's gathering information. He never makes contact with Mustafa. And then he thinks, I have a relationship with Sarah Sammy. She's going to seal this case off. Let me go to a magistrate, get a warrant. He's going to falsify that he talked to Mustafa, and he never did. And he took that man's freedom away based on a false sworn affidavit. That's a crime. When you lie to a judge, that's a crime.
Absolutely. Robert Drum says, I spoke to Mustafa on the scene. That never happened. So that's lie number two. He says Mustafa is on the influence of a drug. That's lie number three, because you never spoke to Mustafa and you falsified the off-duty paramedic statements. The off-duty paramedic statement told you Mustafa is dealing with a concussion. You turned around and he said Mustafa's on drug. And this is confirmed. By the way, the toxicology shows no alcohol, no drugs.
That toxic.
So that's 4 lies so far.
Okay, I'm going to add number 5 to you, and that is, when did the police take Mustafa's blood? That's a very, very specific question, and it's a very strong issue that we're having to deal with here, because when you look at the paramedic report, you see that the paramedics stated they injected Mustafa with fentanyl when they were treating him on the scene. Okay? Now, the real question is, why isn't the fentanyl showing up under the toxicology report? I mean, the only answer to that question is that Robert Drum had...
Chad Mason illegally took Mustafa's blood.
Chad Mason and Robert Drum. They took Mustafa's blood on the scene. Before paramedic, because the paramedic says, by the way, the paramedic says, when Mustafa got on the helicopter, the paramedic came back to the officer, to Chad Mason, and he told him he's under. What does that mean? What does it mean he's under? It means you induced a coma by giving him a strong opioid like fentanyl. But it raises the question, why does the fentanyl not show up on the toxicology? Which the only answer is you took his blood before leaving the scene.
I mean, look,
they took his blood without a warrant.
You see the other officer, Chad Mason, go into the ambulance truck where Mustafa is. He puts on his gloves and he walks out. I mean, why are you putting your gloves on? Clearly, he took Mustafa's blood.
Handling blood.
You're handling blood. You took Mustafa's blood illegally without a warrant. And when you, I mean, the toxicology show no alcohol, no drugs. What you've done in this case, and based on the paramedics' record, is that you induced Mustafa into a coma. You injected him with 50 mcg of fentanyl.
The paramedic specifically tells the officer he's under. That we don't need the police to accompany him on the helicopter anymore. Because they were thinking, which officer is going to ride the helicopter with him?
They induced him with 50 mcg of fentanyl, took him to the hospital.
Knocked him out.
There's a whole chapter inside the hospital where Mustafa was interrogated inside the hospital after they had induced him with fentanyl. But we go back and we're reading this warrant right now. Okay? Is the warrant for Robert Drum that's being used on an indictment in the grand jury falsified?
100%. He lied to a magistrate.
You're telling us that Mustafa's on drugs when his toxicology showed no alcohol, no drugs. You're telling us that you spoke to Mustafa, you didn't speak to Mustafa. You're telling us that you saw an SUV, the SUV driver being extracted when the SUV driver, female driver, was already out. Let's continue reading Robert Drum warrant. Okay, during the investigation, it was learned the vehicle he was driving was traveling west on Dumfries when, for an unknown reason, it crossed sideways into eastbound traffic, having the right side collided with another vehicle. Not unknown reason, Robert Drum. Your police mechanic inspected Mustafa's vehicle and found brake failure. Mustafa's foot is on the brake the whole entire time. We just looked at the EDR. We see that Mustafa's foot is on the brake the whole entire time. Your police mechanic inspected the vehicle and found brake failure. Now, this is a body cam where the police mechanic inspected Mustafa's vehicle and they found brake failure.
Right rear tire, brake, didn't engage.
Mustafa's foot is on the brake the whole entire time. The police mechanic inspect the vehicle and find brake failure. So when you're sitting here telling us for an unknown reason, no, Robert Drum, it's not an unknown reason. Your police mechanic inspected the vehicle and found brake failure. According to your body cam, you say that Mustafa cleared all the way into the fourth lane, avoiding every vehicle. And that's a body cam in the file. Mm-hmm. So when you sit here and tell us for an unknown reason,
you're lying.
You're lying to us. Both passenger in his car had serious injuries. meth salt were removed from his person along with possible marijuana in the vehicle. Now, I found it really interesting that he says meth salt, and he's talking about Mustafa's prescribed Adderall. Is there a body cam that show Robert Drum going into Mustafa's vehicle and pulling out the prescription for Mustafa's vehicle, but he's on a warrant, he's telling you it's meth.
Meth. Actually, he's going around on scene telling people he's on meth.
He's telling bystanders, he's telling other officer that he's methed out. And he puts in the warrant that Mustafa's on meth. Let's watch the body cam that they're hiding in this case. That the officer, not only did he falsify the warrant, no, he has Mustafa's prescribed.
He has the bottle. It says on it what
He
it is.
has the methamphetamine salt combo. He has the methamphetamine salt combo.
Prescribed?
Yeah, prescribed. It don't mean you can't fucking drive with it.
Sounds so disappointed. Is it prescribed? Yeah.
Salt combo.
Mr. J, we're just about closing the. Sounds like they're closer to hospital.
He has.
Let's read.
I mean, just
one
the
more time.
tone. The tone alone.
I mean, he's disappointed.
The tone alone tells you everything.
Robert Drum tells you on that warrant, during an investigation, it was learned that blah, 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 Dumfries, blah, blah, blah. Okay, having the right side collided to another. Both passenger in his car injured. Meth salt were removed from his person along with possible marijuana. Well, now that we saw the body cam, that this is prescribed Adderall. Mustafa's been on Adderall since he was in high school. Okay, and he has a prescription. But clearly he's telling the magistrate. I mean, imagine an officer going up to a magistrate and he's telling him, I found meth.
I mean, you just laid out 6 points that the prosecutor proffered a lie.
It gets worse. I mean, it gets worse because right here, he's telling the judge that he found marijuana on Mustafa when the toxicology showed that it's hemp. This is a toxicology report. A toxicology report that tell you this is toxicology. No alcohol, no drugs. Alcohol level non-detected. THC 0.0003.
So their DUI narrative failed.
Is a lie.
It failed. They were going with DUI and it failed. Because, I mean, the toxicology, you can't falsify that. That's coming straight from the lab.
And then he goes on and he says, the accused is also a known drug user, according to the officers on the scene. And the medical record would show drug and alcohol present in his system. We just looked at the toxicology report. Mustafa has 0 criminal history. Mustafa has no criminal history.
And
so
he
when you're
has
sitting here,
0 interactions with police regarding drugs. 0. 0 interactions, meaning 0 incidents. I mean, I'd like to know, where is this report with, who was it, Casey Fines? Where's the report? Where's the incident report with Casey Fines, where he began this narrative of drugs? I'd like to see that, because we're looking at over, 14,000 documents, and not a single document shows a Casey Fines interacting with Mustafa? Not once?
I mean, look, when you find out that there is a bias that's been inserted into this case the moment the officer showed up, and when you find that,
Mustafa, right in front of you,
when you find that Mustafa was suing the police for $500,000, you start understanding what are they doing in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case.
Look, you just showed us.
I mean, really, let that sink in. Mustafa was suing the police for $500,000. When they showed up, Mustafa is in and out of consciousness in front of his vehicle on the floor, and they began falsifying his case.
You just read to us that Robert Drum is telling a magistrate that the toxicology is going to show drugs in his system, and we looked at the toxicology. 0 drugs, 0 alcohol. So why would an officer swear an oath to a magistrate to take away that man's freedom based on a lie? So, and you thought you were never going to get caught.
So we're coming up on a commercial break. We've read the prosecutor motion where in her motion, she tells you that Mustafa is charged with murder. Mustafa is charged with this. Mustafa is charged with that. Using an officer that she took to the grand jury and is lying to the grand jury.
By the way, she knows it's a lie.
I mean, if I can know, if I know, obviously the prosecutor knows. So,
well,
we're on page 3. We're on page 3 out of page 10 on the prosecutor motion to deny Mustafa for the judge to reconsider the bond. And we've read where she's talking about Mustafa's charges using Officer Robert Drum in the grand jury. Now, when we come back from the commercial break, we're going to continue going through the prosecutor motion to reconsider Mustafa's bond to be denied. She wants the judge to deny that Mustafa's bond is reconsidered. We're going to continue. We are on page 10. This is not another boring podcast. We're going to take a couple of minutes. Mustafa through the police body cams. Judge Carol Weimer, you're under the microscope.
If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay? If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case.
Okay.
If you disclose that information in any way, all of it needs to be destroyed now. But if you disclose it in any way, it's going to put me in a position where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you all choose to go on the internet and try to publicize this stuff, that's going to create real problems.
Okay.
You can't do it, is what I'm telling you. You cannot do it. I will have to move to withdraw from the case.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
So make sure everybody's aware of that. Okay.